on. I forgot my trusty microphone holder. Last night was the Super Bowl, which means it's officially baseball season. Thank God, because I'm losing my mind. And the off season has been so slow that I'm just ready for some baseball. I'm ready for something of substance. To kick off the 2024 MLB season, I'm gonna be talking to you guys about players that I think are gonna break out or have a bounce back year in 2024. It's very simple. I kind of spent a disgustingly long time on Fangraphs and Baseball Savant to sift through each team and pick a player that I think will have a really good year this year. It may be somebody that's bouncing back from a bad year or 2 bad years maybe, or somebody that I think is gonna break out. I love stats. I love math. I have always been really good at math, and once I realized that stats involve math, I was like, oh, I like baseball stats a lot. So this was very fun for me, and I'm excited to share some of these players with you guys, and maybe we can track their progress as the season goes on. I'm very excited. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of some of these players, I think it's important that I talk about a certain stat, because I'm going to bring up a certain stat quite a few times, and I want to make sure that if you're just getting into baseball or if you're just getting into stats, that you know what these certain stats mean, because sometimes it can sound like people are speaking a foreign language. I don't want that. I want everybody to understand what we're talking about here. The stat that I'm going to be bringing up quite a few times is babip, B-A-B-I-P. babip. It stands for batting average of balls in play. It's the expected batting average of a ball that is put in play. So this gets rid of strikeouts and home runs. We look at it and we can say, okay, over a season's span or more, this batter may have been a bit unlucky, or this pitcher may have been extremely lucky. A 300 BABIP is like average-ish. You can use 300 as a benchmark and say, oh, this batter has a 330 BABIP. They had a higher batting average of balls in play, so they got kind of lucky. And if it's lower than 300, oh, wow, they got kind of unlucky. So the lower the number, typically the more unlucky they were. Now, there are other things that can kind of affect this number, but this is the baseline, okay, for ease's sake. Now, the opposite is true for pitchers. If a pitcher has a high BABIP, then they seem to have been a little unlucky. And if they had a low BABIP, then they got lucky. If you are gonna use it in terms of a statistical point whenever you're talking about a player, I would recommend looking at it from a season span or more. I wouldn't look at it from like a monthly perspective or a daily perspective. It's more effective and it tells a better story when there's a larger sample size. Hopefully that makes sense. I tried my best to explain it as best as I could. We will be starting with the National League today, and we're just gonna jump right in. Let's start with the NL East. How do you pick a player from the Braves and say they're gonna be better this season because they're just all great? One player that I think will have a bounce back year this year is AJ Minter. Looking at his stats, he just was kind of unlucky in 2023. AJ Minter's BABIP in 2023 was 331, which is a touch higher than his career BABIP, which is 320. So to me, comparing this with his Baseball Savant page and some of his StatCast stats, which are all really high. Like, this guy is in the top percentile in expected ERA, expected batting average. He's in the 94th percentile for strikeouts, even with the stats that he had last year. In 2023, he had a 31.5 strikeout rate and a 3.76 ERA. I just think if he continues how he pitched in 2023, he'll just have a better season in 2024. I think if he improves one of his off-speed pitches, like his changeup, then he'll have better success in 2024. He had a 102 batting average against his changeup in 2023, but a 244 batting average against it in 2023. All of the StatCast stats still say this dude has the stuff. I think he's just primed for a bounce back year. I'm sure he knows exactly what he needs to fix, and he'll have a good year in 2024. Next up, I have the Marlins. I went with Yuri Perez. Now, I know it's kind of a cop-out. Is it a cop-out, though? He had a 3.15 ERA in 2023, a 28.9% strikeout rate, which is pretty good for a 20-year-old. Yes, that's correct. The kid is 20 years old. He strikes out more than 10 batters per 9 innings, but the main thing for him is going to be location. If he can locate his fastball a little bit better in 2024, I think he will just be a better pitcher. And location kind of just comes with age. His walk rate wasn't great as well, which also supports the fact that he wasn't locating some of his pitches well enough. I also think that his Fangraphs projections are a little off. I think he'll throw closer to 140 innings in 2024. 124. I think 122 is too low. As you can see by this chart here, Yuri Perez threw a lot of fastballs up and into right-handed hitters. If you throw it to the right guy, that pitch is crushed every time, especially a fastball. The thing with fastballs is that if you just get your hands to it, probably gonna hit it hard. It either needs to have good movement or you need to locate it well. His whiff rate is in the 92 percentile at 33.7%. Nasty. This is basically just swings and misses. I think he'll have a great year. The Mets were a little tough, but I ended up landing on Shintaro Fujinami. For Fujinami, it was really just the story of two halves for him. When he was in Oakland and he was a starter, he was not good. In 2023, he had a 7.18 ERA. In the first half of 2023, in 45 innings pitched, he had a 9 ERA. But in the second half of 2023, in 34 innings pitched, he had a 4.76 ERA. It's a lot better. 2023 was his first year in Major League Baseball, so if he could just continue to do what he did in that second half of the year, I think that he'll just naturally improve from that 7.18 ERA. If he can just locate a little bit better, I think he'll be fine, especially in a reliever role. Sometimes you make the transition, and it's a tough transition, right? But he fits into a reliever role a little bit better. He has better player development outside of Oakland, so I don't see why he doesn't post something closer to like a 4 ERA. We're talking about the Phillies next, and the natural answer for the Phillies is Trey Turner. What a tale of two halves it was for Trey Turner. His end-of-year stats really weren't too terrible. I wouldn't say they were Trey Turner-esque, but batting .266 with a .320 on-base percentage and a .459 slug really isn't that bad. It's actually pretty good. He had a 108 WRC+, but naturally, because we're talking about Trey Turner here, his projections are a lot higher than that. I don't think that we're looking at any sort of regression in terms of hitting because he is approaching, how old is he? I think he's in his 30s. Fuck, I gotta look. Trey Turner age. You think I would know this? 30. Okay, I was right. So again, I don't think he's regressing because the first half of 2023 was atrocious. He had a great World Baseball Classic, and then the first half of the 2023 MLB season, he just was not good. He slashed .247 with a .299 on base percentage and a .389 slugging. Not great. He was also striking out a lot more often than normal. His strikeout rate was 4.5% higher than normal. Now in the second half of 2023, he was much more Trey Turner-esque. Had a .292 batting average, a .348 on-base percentage, and a .554 slug. Way better. His K rate dropped to 18.6%. He had a .901 OPS. So to me, I see that as first half was just a weird slump for him. I don't really know. He was on a new team. Maybe he was intimidated. I don't know. But because his second half was so much better, I don't see why he doesn't get back to his Trey Turner ways. Now, the Nationals were a little bit tough, but I ended up going with Keibert Ruiz. How old are you, Keibert Ruiz? I should know these things before I make these videos. 25. The kid is young. We're bringing up babip again for Keibert Ruiz because this kid hits the ball hard. He's in the 93rd percentile in sweet spot percentage, whiff percentage, and K percentage. So the kid is not chasing, he's not striking out, and he's hitting the ball hard. And every year of his career, his barrel rate has also increased. So if you couple improvements with a low babip for a batter, I don't see why he doesn't have a better 2024. His numbers were okay in 2023. He had a 93 WRC+, but again, I think that he was just a little bit unlucky. So he's young. It's always a good sign when guys aren't striking out and guys aren't swinging and missing, and he's hitting the ball hard. So I just, Keibert Ruiz, I think you're about to pop off, my guy.
So here in game 2 is Shohei meets Ellie.
He's a touch of it. Are you real?
Let's move along to the NL Central, starting with the Cubs. I have Shoto Imanaga. For Imanaga, you have to understand that his fastball is his bread and butter. He has such a good fastball. He has a 149 Stuff Plus rating. Now, Stuff Plus is another weird stat, but all in all, it's basically just how nasty the pitch is, how much movement the pitch has. Anything above 100, it's higher than league average. Between Japan and Major League Baseball, they use two different baseballs. The baseballs are different. In the World Baseball Classic, they use a Major League Baseball, or a baseball that's the same size as the one they use in Major League Baseball. So seeing his Stuff Plus so high with the Major League Baseball is a really good sign. I think he'll have a great first half. What happens in the second half, I don't know what to tell you. He's playing in Wrigley Field. It's gonna be cold at the beginning of the year, so I think his first half will be a little bit better than his second half, but we will see. I also think he'll have a great shot to pitch like 140 innings. You guys remember when guys would pitch like 200 innings in a season and it was like, as you should, brother. And now I'm like 140, yay! How times have changed. For the Reds, my breakout player is Heimer Candelario. I have him as my Reds guy for one reason. Well, a few reasons, but the main reason is because he's now playing at Great American Ballpark. And the stats on his home runs, he would have hit more home runs at Great American Ballpark than any other field in Major League Baseball. So I think he's gonna pop off. He would have hit 30 home runs last year at Great American Ballpark compared to his 22 in 2023. And you see this trend across his Now you see this trend across his entire career. He would have hit 18 home runs in 2022 at Great American Ballpark instead of 13. And he would have hit 27 in 2021 compared to 16. So listen, I think Great American Ballpark is going to be good to Heimer Candelario this year. We also saw him increase his walks in 2023, which is a great sign. He's being more patient at the plate. He also had the highest ISO of his career at 220. ISO is slugging percentage minus batting average. Just another fun number that I like to use sometimes. Long story short, he's going to be playing in a ballpark that's good to him for 81 games out of the year. He's making good adjustments. His StatCast numbers are getting better each year. He's walking more, so I don't see why he doesn't pop off in 2024. For the Brewers, I have Willy Adames. I think Willy Adames could be like a top 10 shortstop in Major League Baseball this year, maybe even like top 7. He was really unlucky last year, like really unlucky, according to babip, of course. He had a 259 babip in 2023 compared to a 310 career. That's an insane difference. He had a career high walk rate of 11.1% and a career low strikeout rate of 25.9% in 2023. If he does the same thing that he did last year, he's gonna have a better season. He's in the top 20% of the league in barrel rate, so he's hitting the ball hard, and he's playing in kind of a crappy division. I'm sorry. I don't have room to talk about things being crappy, but it's true. Let's not have an unlucky year. What do you say? What do you say, dude? Now we have the Cardinals. The Cardinals were tough. It was really a toss-up between Tommy Edman and Nolan Arenado for me. I went with Tommy Edman. Nato heading into his 33-year-old season kind of freaks me out, and that's the reason why I didn't pick him. It's ageist, I know. Edman may have been a touch unlucky in 2023. He had a 275 BAPIP compared to a career 301 BAPIP. He's solid against breaking pitches. He hits the ball hard, and he's not striking out a lot. So I just think, again, if he continues to do what he did last year, he'll be fine. Fangraphs projects him to have higher numbers in 2023. The Pirates was also really tough. I debated picking a few guys. I debated Jack Sawinski. I debated a certain #1 overall pitcher, Paul Skeens. But I ended up not going with either of those. I ended up going with O'Neal Cruz. Now, I know some of you probably are not going to agree with me, and that's fine. I don't care. Some of you are like, well, we have Elly De La Cruz now. Elly De La Cruz is who O'Neal Cruz wishes he was. Hold on, my friend. I think 2023 is just an injury year that you just have to throw out the window. His stats in 2022 were so good, and people forget. People forget O'Neal Cruz was a dog in 2022. He was in the 91st percentile in 2022 in average exit velocity and in the 96th percentile at barrel rate. He hits the ball so hard and people just forget. I think he'll probably have a slowish start to the year just because 2023 was kind of a wash, but I don't see why he doesn't have a great summer. Then he'll just be good after that. Once the weather gets a little bit warmer and you get your plate appearances in, you're like, okay, time to lock in. And I think that's what O'Neal Cruz is gonna do. We also haven't seen anything with these new base running rules. Why not 30 to 40 stolen bases? Why not? In 2023, he was on pace for more walks and less strikeouts as well. Strikeout rate is a little concerning for him, but it did get better in the small sample size that we have. So listen, I'm a glass half full kind of girly. I think O'Neal Cruz is gonna have a good year. Let's move on to the NL West. The Diamondbacks, I'm going with Brandon Pfaadt. And you know, I think everybody knows that he has the ability to be really good in 2024, but I'm pretty confident that he will have a breakout year. And it's really strictly based on his postseason numbers. His regular season wasn't fantastic, but he shined in the postseason. He was so good. He had a 3.27 ERA, a 1.091 whip, a 10.6 K rate through 9, and a 2.0 walks per 9. I love it. We do only have one season of Major League Baseball BAPIP to go off of, but his BABIP was 315, so he may have been a touch unlucky, but there's not much to go off of, so I'm kind of leaving that alone. He has a great slider and locates it really well. He's tied for 11th in the league in location plus. Now remember how I mentioned stuff plus earlier, and that's just like how nasty the pitch is? Location plus is how well you can locate it. And this is tied for 11th out of 141 other pitchers that threw at least 90 innings in 2023. Simply put, he's a young player that showed off his stuff in the postseason. Why not you, Brandon Pfaadt? Now we have the Rockies. There's really just one guy on the Rockies that I want to see have a bounce back year. I think most of us want to see him have a bounce back year, and that's Chris Bryant. Now I know what you're thinking. Willie, he's so injury prone. Okay, I get it, but I don't care. He's been riddled with injuries since 2019 and hasn't had a qualified hitting season since 2021. I get it, but I'm extremely confident that even if he can get to like 300 or 400 plate appearances, he's just gonna be better than what he was in 2023. He had a bad 2023. Like other years, he's had injuries, but he didn't have a bad season. Last year was just bad. He had a 270 BABIP in 2023, which is just shy of his career low, and this is compared to a 329 career BABIP. His BABIP is so high in his career because he just hits the ball hard. His fly ball rate dropped, which isn't great for power hitters, especially if you're playing at Coors Field. You want to get the ball in the air because that baby's just gonna fly. If he can bump up his walks a bit and just, again, continue to do what he did, and he just hopefully won't be as unlucky, I think he'll be better. I'm not saying he's gonna have like, you know, a 900 OPS. I'm not saying that. But compared to what he did in 2023, 73 WRC plus, come on. Fangraphs projects him to have 553 plate appearances. I think that's a little high. I don't think he's, I mean, maybe, hopefully, but I think he'll just at least be more effective while he's on the field. I'm sure that injuries have probably zapped a little bit of his raw power. That's typically what happens, but I'm confident that he'll just be more effective if he just does what he has done in the past. For the Dodgers, I went with Alex Vesia. Is that how you pronounce his name? I get so paranoid about that. I have to look it up. I'm so sorry. Fuck. Just trying to see how to pronounce his name. Vesia, I knew I said it wrong. I know you're gonna hate me because I'm gonna bring up BABIP again, but his was so bad in 2023. He had a 352 BABIP. So unlucky. As unlucky as you can get. It was literally the 11th highest amongst all other qualified relief pitchers in Major League Baseball. He had a really bad first half as well. The second half of his season was a lot better, so I think that kind of inflated his numbers as well. I never think it's a bad sign when the first half is bad and the second half is good. Like, you figured it out, right? Typically earlier in the season, pitchers kind of have the advantage. Batters are still trying to find their feet again. But if you get better in the second half, I think it's fine. I don't think it's anything to worry about. His fastball has a 123 stuff plus, which is ranked 26th among 162 qualified relief pitchers. His fastball was his best pitch in 2022, but then became his worst pitch in 2023. So I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure he's working on it. And I just think that is just gonna be better. I'm wondering how many times in this video I meant to say 2024, but I said 2023. I feel like that's gonna happen a lot, and I'm a little nervous about it. Despite a 4.35 ERA in 2023, he was still in the 72nd percentile in expected ERA and 79th percentile for whiff percentage and 88th in K rate. All of these things just scream unlucky to me. Next is the Padres. Now this one is kind of more vibe related to me. Okay, this is just a feeling I have in my heart. Fernando Tatis Jr. is going to have a way better 2024, and let me tell you why. In 2023, the pressure that was put on the San Diego Padres, and for Tatis, I can only imagine, just because they're professional athletes, just because they're playing at the highest stage, that doesn't mean that these guys still don't feel pressure, okay? They can say they don't, but they're lying. There's no shot. So I think with all of the pressure on them in 2023, the weird locker room vibes in 2023, all of these little things, I think he's just gonna have a better attitude going into 2024. He had a poor second half, but he had a really good first half. Oh shit, sorry. He also didn't walk quite as much as usual in 2023. So listen, I know that I don't have much in the way of stats for you on this one, but I mean, here's the Fangraph projections. You tell me. This is so much more Fernando Tatis to me. And I think the vibes are going to be way better in 2024. Also, he had to play a whole new position. Do you know what that does? That's a hard transition. I just think there were so many outside factors that may have influenced his attitude. He's going to have a bounce back year. Lastly, for the San Francisco Giants, Giants. This one was a little tough, but I ended up going with Jung-Hoo Lee. I'm pretty high on Jung-Hoo Lee. He had a great World Baseball Classic. He had the second highest batting average amongst center fielders in the World Baseball Classic, and the third highest OPS at 1.071. He had the fifth highest batting average amongst all outfielders, and the 13th highest OPS. I know it's a small sample size, but it's a good gauge of what could be. He's projected to play a lot of games in 2024. The Giants need a consistent center fielder, so I don't see why he doesn't play 150 games. He's also another year out from his ankle surgery, so he might be able to even steal some bags. He's kind of giving like Jeff McNeil vibes a little bit. I think that he'll hit for a high batting average. If he can pop like 15 home runs, good for you. And that's it. That's all I have for the National League. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my picks. Let me know who you would have picked instead. We will talk about the AL very soon. I love you guys. Thank you for being here. And don't forget to not let sports affect your mental health. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon.